Hello, I'm Professor Boardway with MBA Educational Horizons and MBA Architectural. I represent both companies. Um, in this recording, I just wanted to talk a little bit about architectural diversity. And, diversity basically allows you to do different things related or non-related to what you're involved with. Um, I know back in the 70s, 1970s, some architectural firms were proud of the fact that they specialized in one particular way of doing architecture. And basically, it reminds me of that popcorn guy, Orville Redenbacher. If you do one thing exceptional, better than somebody else, and there's your security, you know. And so you had these firms that are specializing in custom residences and high-end residential work and such. And then all of a sudden the economy slowed down, and that's usually the first thing to go. And then now what do they do? And so then they started thinking about, well, maybe we need to become more diverse in architecture, taking on other project types. So they started hiring employees that had experience in those areas of architecture, and then the firm started getting involved with doing commercial and industrial, institutional, residential, hospitality, theme parks, and there's a lot of different things that you can get involved with as one firm. You don't have to do one type of thing. That way, if something slows down, hopefully the other sections of the firm will bring you back up again, that type of thing. But then what happened is that the country, United States, was going into some economic slowdown, and it affected all project types. And then architects were saying, well, what about going outside the country? So then they started doing projects in Saudi Arabia and Iran and Greece and Italy and all of those places, because it seemed like when the United States economy was down, slow, it like the other countries for some reason were accelerating and doing fine. So then you had diversity that way, outside the office, outside the country as well, And but what about you as an individual? As far as diversity goes. I mean, I can share a little bit about myself. I mean, I'm a principal of a firm, two companies actually. One is an architectural firm, and the other is the MBA Educational Horizons firm that does preparatory courses for the architectural registration exam, as well as the California Supplemental exam, and NCIDQ, Interior Designers Exam. And so what I do is I do tutoring on those subjects. I do telecourses with groups of people online. When possible, then we'll start doing I've done live seminars around the United States with about 14 or 15 different states. I've done seminars, for those courses as well as and so I tutor. Sometimes they know I'm in town, so Professor Boardway, I need you to tutor me, on one particular subject and such. And so I do telecourses, I do online, I do tutoring online, I do seminars live, and I also do tutoring live as well. Sometimes I do door to door. If for some reason, if you can't make it online or you don't, your computer crashes or whatever, I go to your place and do tutoring. So we call it door-to-door tutoring. Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of what's going on with that company. And then, of course, my architectural firm. I mean, I've been involved with architecture for probably close to 45 years. So I do residential, industrial, commercial, institutional, theme parks, hospitality, all different types of projects, anywhere from a small remodel to a very large project. And so, I've got the diversity there in that profession, architecture as well. Also, I do expert witnessing. So on law cases, so attorneys will call me up and because of my experience and on a particular case, we'll get involved with the case and so on, and I'll have to put boards and presentation, documents together and so on, and do a lot of research on the history of what led up to that particular issue, and so on, and why they're suing each other, and so expert witnessing. I get involved with expert witnessing as well, and then. When I first started out in this profession, I graduated from the university, and then I started at a firm, and I think they were offering me $6 or $7 an hour or something like that. But we just bought a house, and so I needed to make the mortgage, and so on. So I needed some additional income. So what I did is I started looking into teaching at night, and so I applied for the certificate. And at that time, they said if you have a bachelor's degree and 2 years of experience in your field, then here's what is called a limited lifetime credential. And so you end up with, I ended up with a certificate and became a professor. They called me professor. And so I taught night school adults, architecture, construction, project management, those blueprint reading. I think blueprint reading was the first course I taught, so people would come to my course and I teach them how to read a set of documents and such, and so I was teaching. So that was diverse as well, because I was doing my full-time job during the day, and I was also teaching at night. I think it was 2 nights a week or something like that. And then also I had relatives that needed some architectural assistance, and so we call this moonlighting if you're doing something that's aside from your full-time job, and run this by your principal or your employer to make sure that that's okay. I said, well, if you don't need me on the weekend, do you mind if I design a house for my brother-in-law or something like that? And so, I made sure that the principal was okay with it, as long as I kept it separate from the firm, and that type of thing as well. So there I had my full-time job. I was teaching at night. I was moonlighting, as well. And how diverse can you be? So you don't want to spread yourself out too thin, because then you're not putting the proper attention to the task that you're involved with and such. So you do have to organize your time, in doing that type of thing. I'm also an author. I have books in conjunction with my wife and son, and we have them on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Smashwords, and so we have a separate type of company. It's a healing service. We offer that around the world. Different clients around the world will call us up for an energy session and so on. And so I've been doing that for 35 some odd years as well. And so we call it distant healing and that type of thing. So that's another company that I have as well. Okay. So, the idea basically is, it's kind of like one lifetime is too short for one thing to do. So, can you expand your experience, your awareness, your value, as an individual. And so you might want to take a look into that and kind of go through what you can do as well. All right. And so you might have to take some courses on doing that type of thing, or doing whatever you're doing, to bring you up to that level of what you want to specialize in as well. I'm also an inventor, and I come up with inventions, and sometimes I sell ideas and to investors. I don't have a large manufacturer company, that makes things. So what I do is I sell ideas that are in my mind. And then either I take a percentage of royalty, or they just pay me one fixed fee, and for the ideas of things that could sell. And the thing about inventing, of course, is that if you can establish the need for something, then usually that leads to it being successful, because people need it or they want it. It's valuable to them. It all comes down to value. It's like, where's your value? Where's their value? And what kind of things can you come up with as well? All right. So I know when I opened my firm, I wasn't licensed, and so what kind of diversity could I do aside from working at night school? But so what I did red marking sets for architectural firms. So they'd send the sets to me. I mark them up because I had knowledge of codes and so on. Send it back to them, and then they end up with a minimal amount of plan check corrections, and so they kind of like that idea. And so I kind of came up with that idea, I guess, and I kind of solicited or advertised myself to other firms for doing that type of service as well. Red marking. Okay, so there's a lot of areas out there, and it just depends what you're involved with. It might be a hobby first, and then turns into a profession or something, as well. And take a look at that and that possibility of expanding your experience and your value as well as a human being. And but don't spread yourself too thin, though. So yeah, that's the other trick as well. All right. So that was just on diversity and architectural diversity as well, and hopefully got a little bit of information out of that. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.